Toon Jam. Toon Jam.
Hello and welcome to Toon Jam. I am Matt.
And I'm J-Man.
And today we are heading into the realm of the fantasy. Welcome to fantasy. Sorry about that. We're watching, or have watched, The Legend of Vox Machina. Is that how you say it?
They all say Machina in the show, but I don't know if it's just like how they pronounce it or not.
Is that typically, at least in this country, how you would pronounce?
That's how I've said it, so
Machina.
That's how I'm going to continue to say
Yeah, because I mean, it's not Machina.
No.
Who knows? I'm sure there's a correct answer, but I'm going to stick with.
Oh, as in like the actual thing, like Deus Ex Machina. I think that.
Yeah, it's Machina,
yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Vox Machina. Apologies if it's incorrect, but there you go. Just for ease, that's what we're going with. Please don't take it as a slight if you're a big fan of the franchise. But already murky waters.
Yes, they've already logged off.
30 seconds in. Oh boy. Well, never mind. Yes, that's what we've watched. So let me tell you a bit about it if you don't know about it already. The Legend of Vox Machina is an American adult animated fantasy streaming television series produced by Critical Role Productions, Titmouse Inc. and Amazon Studios, which premiered on Amazon Prime on January 28, 2022. That's this year, baby. It is based on Campaign 1 of the Dungeons & Dragons web series Critical Role. The series stars Laura Bailey, Taliesin Jaffe. I don't know how to pronounce that. Again, I'm so sorry. But moving on, Ashley Johnson, Matthew Mercer, Liam O'Brien, Marisha Ray, Sam Riegel and Travis Willingham, reprising their roles from Critical Role's first campaign. The first season consists of 12 episodes. 10 of the first season's episodes were funded via a Kickstarter campaign in November 2019. The series was renewed by Amazon for a second season ahead of the series premiere. Fun fact about their Kickstarter, they actually, within an hour of the launch, reached more than $1 million.
Wow.
At the end of the first full day, all of the announced stretch goals had been unlocked and the total had reached more than $4.3 million.
Wow. That seems like something that doesn't need a Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's mad. Well, here you go. The final total raised by the Kickstarter when it closed on April 19th was 11 million.
Wow. That's so
385,499 with 88,887 backers.
They made 11 million just on the Kickstarter. That's
just on the Kickstarter, yeah.
Mad. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it
was
just
one of the
makes
most.
Think, like if you've got a fan base that's willing to pay 11 million already.
That's insane, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was one of the most quickly funded Kickstarters in history.
Yeah.
It was the most funded Kickstarter for TV and film projects.
Crazy.
So there you go. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. As I said before, the cast reprise their respective roles, with the exception of Orion Akaba. The animated series was written by Jennifer Morrow and others. A lot of the cast, I think, were involved, but that could have just been character creation nods. But Brandon Orman was the showrunner, so he did things such as the 30 odd episodes of the 2012 Ninja Turtles.
Right.
He also worked on the following Ninja Turtles that we didn't really get on with, to be honest.
Rise of, is it?
Yeah. But that was when we watched it. And he also worked on Star Wars Resistance, which is not great. And recent favourite of ours, Blade Runner Black Lotus.
Oh wow, this guy, what a rep.
Yes. So it's like his career just slowly goes downhill almost.
Yeah.
But you know, despite what we may think, they're all quite big titles. So, you know, that's the guy anyway.
What's his name again, just so I can look out for him in credits?
His name, I've lost my place now. It's thrown me looking through all of those. Brandon Orman.
Brandon Orman.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, he's the showrunner, and the series was animated, as I said, by Titmouse Inc., with character design by Phil Bourassa and other animation renderings by South Korea's production Rave. Willingham told Inverse that it took outsider perspectives to make the stories they told in tabletop comprehensible for newcomers and fresh for existing fans. Willingham said that the Briarwood arc was around 35 hours. This was when they resorted it originally, and they had to squash that down into about 6 hours. The music for the series was primarily composed by Neil Acree, with Sam Riegel and Mr. Fantastic contributing to Scanlan's songs. So I didn't even know fictional characters could do that nowadays. That's incredible.
I think that's some sort of Disney magic or something.
Yeah.
They've now made superheroes tangible.
Wow.
Just to make it easier to shoot all the films they've planned.
Yeah,
out.
well, that's it. You know, it can just go on forever that way.
Yeah.
In November 2019, Amazon Studios announced that they would. They had tripping over this every 5 seconds. Had acquired the streaming rights of The Legend of Vox Machina and had commissioned 14 episodes additionally to the original. The cast went with Amazon as it gave them the most freedom in developing the show, such as keeping it as an adult animation project. Ray, in an interview with Polygon, said, "We looked out with Amazon. There were other potential distributors that we were talking about that were more interested in making it maybe a children's show or wanting to go in a different direction or make it into a more serious political fantasy a la Game of Thrones." The project was originally slated for the release in 2020. However, in June 2020, it was announced that the debut would be missed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The release was delayed to 2022. So there you go. Some information about it. So it's a popular web series and podcast initially. So it does have, you know, a large fan base, as we can see by the immense Kickstarter. So yeah, I guess a big part of it is, does it just cater for fans, or is it something that you can jump on as a newbie? But before we dig in, let me just hit the ratings on the internet. We're lucky today. We've got a full house of IMDb and both Rotten Tomatoes ratings. So I'm going to take your guesses first off. Let's go IMDb rating.
IMDb. I think these. Well, we know that there's, you know, multi-million fan base. So I'm guessing that they're going to be, you know, pretty vocal and stuff. So I reckon IMDb is going to be about 8.1. I'm going 8.1 at least. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Rotten Tomatoes. We got the tomatometer.
Ooh.
Well, 100% then.
100% on average. So that's critics' average tomatometer.
Yeah.
What about the audience score?
90%. I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So we're going through them. So you said 8.1 for IMDb.
Yeah.
It's actually 8.6.
Ooh.
So not far off. Not too bad there. 0.5 off. But that was with 16,000 ratings.
Yeah, that's a lot for saying it came out 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And we've rated stuff that have been out for like 30 years.
Yeah,
like 24.
Well, there was something we watched the other week. It had 100.
Yeah.
So, so there you go. Okay, and the big RT. Okay, so audience score. You said 90.
Yeah.
Yeah, 94.
Oh,
So
even better.
Again, just you're underestimating this show clearly.
Yeah.
Brandon Orman's power is greater than you could imagine.
He's too strong for it.
However, you did say 100% for the critics score. Score. You are just correct.
Oh,
100%.
Wow.
We're back, baby.
Look at that.
Oh boy, yeah. So this is critically a perfect show.
Yeah.
Audience base. Audience base not far off that.
Yeah.
Very high scores indeed. So I can only imagine what Twitter's got to say about this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Twitter. There certainly are fans on there. We've got Rollbound PC who says, I've never consumed any Critical Role content, but I'm watching Vox Machina with my roommate, and Percy reminds me of myself, and it hurts my feelings.
Oh. Hurts their feelings.
A real turn there at the end.
Yeah. Oh boy. So I mean, yeah, that too close to home, maybe.
Yeah. They got the characters so refined that are, people are reflecting themselves in them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, they didn't say necessarily anything bad. Just they get it. It reminds them so much of them. I'm going to take that as positive.
Yeah, either it's so good it's hurt their feelings, or it's bad because it's hurt their feelings. So we don't know what to take from that, but so I'm guessing it means good.
That's a shaky middle, that one then.
It's an easy shaky middle.
That's a shaky middle. We've got Voice of Reason in all caps on Twitter. So I mean, that's a pretty good username to have on Twitter. They just said, I have got to watch Vox Machina. Which I thought was really good because we didn't really have many like pre-reviews.
Yeah. So this is the excitement before the show.
Haven't even seen it, and they're like, this is amazing. This show, I need to watch it because
this could have been one of the the Kickstarter crowd.
Yeah. No. At
least in spirit.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Maybe they went back and paid on top of it. They were like, these guys need more money. That's what they need.
Yeah. That Amazon money is not enough.
No, this is not enough.
I think that's the real sting in the eye for it, is that, it. I mean, not for it, but for, I guess, the people that shelled out millions of dollars. Then it gets picked up by a billionaire. Yeah,
one of the richest people on the planet. It's like, oh yeah, I'll give you some money for it. I'll sling you some trash.
Just shows you need $1 million to make $1 million.
That's it. Yeah, that's what they say, I think. We've got a Tomniac who says, done now with Critical Role's Vox Machina TV series. Ugh, can't wait for the second season.
That voice as well that they use.
Yeah, I know. They specifically put that voice in the tweet, which is weird. No, it was all caps, that last bit. So they're hyped. They've done it all, and they're ready for the next.
Yeah.
Which I imagine is inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
Like those, that much funding, those ratings, like. Yeah,
this is going. This is never going to die.
No.
This is a forever show now.
Oh yeah. Something, a celestial being has to intercept our timeline in order for this to not have a second season. So
basically, like, the only thing that could have made it more, foreverable, that if you're going to count that as a word, is if it had Happy Meal toys.
Ah, yeah.
That's the only way.
Maybe it did, and we didn't catch it.
Adult Happy Meal type.
Yeah, the Happy Meal type. They've got the money; they could make it work.
Yeah, too true.
Yeah. We have Ishneek, who says, The Legend of Vox Machina should be heralded as the successor to The Last Airbender, as a Western animated series that's geared towards adults, definitely not for kids, with fantastic animation and an engaging storyline.
I absolutely disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think, for one, The Last Airbender, you could say that it's geared towards all ages. It's definitely appropriate for kids as well.
Yeah, I think maybe they kind of got mixed up with their that they need maybe like some punctuation in there to separate out. I think, I feel like surely they couldn't be comparing the tone of this show to The Last Airbender, because it's not the same, is it, really?
No, in many ways.
In many ways, it's not anywhere near the Airbender series.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe just from the anime perspective of like,
and
by Western.
Yeah,
maybe that's what they meant. I don't know, but yeah,
perhaps, yeah. And you know what? We each have our own sort of paths through media, I guess you could say. So in a way, as them aging through, this could be then the next step if you wanted adult, but I still don't think it matches personally.
No. Yeah, I mean, they could be, maybe locked away in somewhere where they're forced to watch a series of, animations, and The Last Airbender was the last series that their captors put upon them, and therefore this is the natural progression.
Yeah, that's all they have.
Yeah,
it's that natural progression.
Which, we
However,
we don't know.
Say that's a good review.
Yeah, solid review.
So, yeah.
So yeah, thank you, Ishneek. Hope you are not in a situation where you're forced to watch that animation. Hopefully that's not it. And then finally we have Junk-Headed, who says, watching Vox Machina were the BF, and honestly was not expecting to see actual balls in the first episode. So yeah, big shout. I love that they came on Twitter to be like, well, there we go. That's
it. Two things we should warn you about. You see boobs and testicles in the first episode.
Yeah.
Again influencing my opinion on the fact that it's not like The Last Airbender.
Definitely not like The Last Airbender.
In that manner. Like, that seems quite a stretch apart.
Yeah. It has really it's kind of covered the bases on bouncing body parts in episode 1. Like, it's not going to get better than that if that's what you went in for.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good. I mean, it's definitely an adult cartoon.
Yeah, because that is surprising. You don't. That's not something you buy in with. In most animations, you're like, yeah, that's didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
Fair play. But that's it for Twitter.
Okay, well, so I mean, very favourable tweets.
Yeah.
No, nothing there saying what a load of trash.
No, we had some feelings hurt, but again, that could be just because of how solid the writing was to them.
Yeah, and other feelings hurt perhaps on us naysaying their opinions.
Yeah.
Otherwise, favourable reviews.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think let's dig straight into that sort of that adult theme.
Yeah.
Because that's the sort of almost the main thing about this, at least this episode. And what it left me thinking, and we've seen this a few times, that it's done a classic. This is episode 1.
Yeah. Show
everything you can, swear as much as you can, to keep people hooked.
Yeah.
I never understand it, to be honest.
No, yeah, it definitely suffered from that Harley Quinn syndrome of just like let's swear in places that it doesn't even really make sense to.
Yeah, it's just like the joke is it's not even what they're saying, it's just that they're saying it.
Yeah.
And then it derails it always.
Mm.
We've seen it so many times, and I guess it obviously doesn't bother everyone.
No.
Because we see it all the time, and people keep watching.
Mm.
But have you listened to the podcast at all before, or?
No, I did. Admittedly, I did try and listen to it.
Yeah.
I got a few minutes in, but the voices irritated me, so it's
not a good start for you.
Not for me. It wasn't, with it being an audio medium, it didn't really bode well for the continued 35 hours of that particular season. So so no, I didn't really. It wasn't really my thing on that front.
Yeah.
I do like the idea that's of what Critical Role is, that essentially it's a bunch of people that played the game and they decide, well, why don't we just record this for other people? And of course, a lot of them are already like established voice actors and stuff, so you're getting no doubt a sort of better delivery than just you and your mates doing it, sort of thing. But at the same time, obviously, it's kind of inclusive because you're hearing them play as they go, sort of thing. So that's why I tried. I thought it seems like a good idea.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, a lot of people are into Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of people know. I'd say more people just know about it than are into it. And sometimes you'd like to be into it, but you don't really know much. You don't know enough, or you don't know people other people that might want to be into it. So it's a good way of getting involved in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a really good idea. They're all voice actors, so it was only a matter of time before this happened. Yeah. In some way, whether it was going to be animated, obviously. And the only surprise that really before I'd even watched it is that it doesn't have Critical Role in the name.
Yeah.
That just seems. I guess if you listen to it, you'd know anyway. But it just seems very strange. There's nothing, and I don't know if this is just says to my ignorance about it, or is it actually set in the show in the Dungeons and Dragons world? Because obviously that's a property, isn't it? Yeah. So is it just something where it's never said but implied? Yeah, I'm not sure either, actually. I hadn't really thought of that. No, I don't really know. If you do know, let us know. You can message us on the socials. Angrily at our ignorance. Yeah. You idiots! Why do I listen to this? You know nothing. Gary Gygax just in the Facebook having a go at us. You charlatans. Don't worry, we tell ourselves every night anyway. Yes. But yeah, it surprised me going back that there's no Critical Role in the title. I actually think it's a better name as well than The Legend of Vox Machina. Yeah. It gives away more, and I don't know, it's more marketable. Yeah. But hey ho, I mean, they made millions to begin with, so yeah, why not? Who am I to say? But yeah, I do think it really sort of like overcompensated for like the adult side of things. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. To the point where I was thinking, like, I wonder how much they needed to cut out of this to where they could actually make it into like a PG show or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like you just cut all the swearing out, maybe a couple of scenes, and it's like this could have been on young teens could have enjoyed this easily. Yeah. Although I suppose young teens probably watch it anyway, but some kids could have got involved and stuff. But I guess that's just not the audience they wanted, I suppose. No, I get, and they've already got an audience, haven't they? Yeah. But it's interesting they talk about sort of bringing in a new audience as well. And I guess bringing it to their other, so you watch this and then think, oh, I might listen to the podcast, I might watch the web series. You want to ingest it. And we, I suppose, would be counted because, I mean, you've listened to a few minutes of it. Yeah. I'd heard of it. I've not listened to it. But we would be counted, I guess, as those new audience members.
Yeah.
Did you feel it was inviting as someone that had never been involved with it, or did you feel it was a bit more like, hey, it's Critical Role?
Yeah. No, I think they did a pretty decent job of sort of like with the story and the characters, like giving you enough that you feel like I kind of know their deal, and especially with the way that the first episode ends, it's pretty much like, oh, we kind of know we're all set up now, pretty much. Like how long was it, like 25 minutes or something like that?
Yeah.
They managed to cram because there is a lot of characters and stuff, and obviously that's kind of the part of them playing the campaign together in Critical Role. Is everyone's, they sort of made them as they went along, sort of thing. I mean, everyone's probably got a lot of depth, whereas you can't really get to that in 28 minutes and have them on a mission or a quest. Sorry, I've got his fantasy. You have quests. Get them on a quest that makes sense and sort of like give them enough purpose for you to be bothered about it. I think people could jump on with that, watch that first episode and be like, oh, okay. Like I didn't feel like there was anything that was too sort of like too D&D that felt sort of exclusionary in a way that's like, I don't know what that is. I think you sort of, there's different races and stuff, but it's just kind of, they're all existing in one place. You kind of get, oh, that's something, oh, these guys control them things. And I think it was a good introduction really for what it was. I don't think anyone would be sort of put off by the fact that it's from an existing media franchise. What did you think?
It's not full of moments, is it, where you're just like, what? Is that an in-joke that I don't get?
Yeah, no, it's not.
It's very good at, like, it's introductory. Everyone's, you get characters pretty early on. I think I guess it comes down to, it's a balance, isn't it, between revealing the characters, I suppose to a degree the world, but I think the world is a bit more, you just have to accept that as it is, and you don't learn much about that in the very first episode. Nor do you really need to. I think everyone at this point is vaguely familiar with a fantasy setting. Yeah. That's all that matters. But I think the humour and, that side of it takes a big portion of the episode. Yeah. And they're trying to introduce you to that. That's why we have, like, over the top swearing and, boobs and balls. Yeah. Because they're trying to say, look, this is the kind of show it is. Yeah. I just think that there's got to be a better way of doing that. Yeah. Really has. Because it does, I do think it derails the episode, and sort of, I think the first half of the episode is I was a bit like, I don't want to watch this. Yeah. You're just like, there's like, and you've got the bard singing a really bad song, which kind of, I guess, is the point. Yeah. But you're just a bit like, is this, I could just play Dungeons and Dragons with my mates and get a similarly lame experience from this. And that's where I felt like, if you are a fan of Critical Role, that would be something that you really were like, oh yeah, this is like what I've seen or heard before. Whereas to someone new, it's just like, well, this is lame. Yeah. Well, that's what I felt like anyway. But I felt like once you got about halfway in, once they stopped introducing the characters and had them doing things, so they head to a village, they fight a dragon. I think as soon as they got off that boat to get to that village, that was where I felt like, oh, this has actually got something worth watching in it. Yeah. And by the end, you are like, oh yeah, I would watch the second one. And it reminds me a bit of that kind of. It's got first episode blues for me, kind of like Centaur World did. And I feel like this is something, if you carried on watching it, you'd be hooked.
Yeah.
But as far as simply just episode 1, I thought it was patchy.
Yeah. It was almost as if, like, if you started the campaign, almost, it's like you could almost start of like you've got your characters, you arrive at the village, like that was almost like the starting point, you know what I mean? Like there's been a disturbance and you've got to go find something. Like you didn't even really need all that stuff at the start. I mean, you did in this case, because you wouldn't know who the characters were in a way, but I mean, you could find a way to start them off there. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's almost like it didn't really get going until that point, and that was quite brief, really, in the scope of the episode. I did think it was strange as well that like they completely turned around all of their convictions when they found that the strangers they bumped into 5 minutes ago had been hurt. That was really odd. Like they basically go fight a dragon, pretty much all die, and then are like, we're not ready for this, we're gonna die, and then are like, okay, let's go, let's not come back here, whatever, we'll abort the mission. And they go back and essentially find the people they bumped into, and we're like, right, well, and now I'm gonna go fight a dragon. Like, what happened? You didn't know these people? Like, what, you gave him like a nickel or something? You gave him some sort of fantasy coin, and now it's like all of your dead uncles at the same time. It doesn't make any sense. It was bizarre. I swear most of them didn't even talk to him. They were busy doing something else. So it's like, oh yeah, well, I guess we better go fight for our lives for these people that were already dead that we didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose. Yeah, I think there's too much sort of unsaid in that moment, and it's definitely not enough.
It's really not enough. I was like, oh, that's it. That's the start of now they're serious. Oh, how strange. Why did we spend like so much time like watching like in the Bard's song, and like, you know, watching
that's the trouble, isn't it? They
swear at each other in a bar when it's
and that's where it does. I mean, it's understandable that it's got to be a lot of fan service because they paid for it.
They paid 11 million for it.
It should absolutely be made for the fans at that point.
Yeah.
But as far as, you know, at least, and I think it is. I think it will be a first episode problem, but they spend so much time like. And it's like, and that's the trouble. You don't feel like you're necessarily being introduced to characters. Like you get them, and you are introduced to them, and it's not a problem. But if you were looking into it, you feel like you're being reintroduced to them. Yeah. In a way. With like you're shown who they are, and you're shown what you need to be shown. But there's a certain element of like, remember me?
Yeah.
And I think as a newcomer that can be a little bit alienating. Because you kind of think, oh right, okay. It's one of these. It's not really, you know, I didn't pay for it. So yeah. And that's where I think it kind of straddles the line, to be honest. But again, and I've said it, you know, going on 5 times now, but I think if I stuck with it, that would go away, and they'd get more into it and start trying to tell the story a bit more, and the characters would naturally sort of, you know, develop in front of you.
Yeah. I think that's sort of the promise that it's got, I suppose. But yeah, as far as first impressions go. I guess if you're a fan of that sort of humor and stuff, and you like a fantasy setting, then it's probably got enough elements there for you to be like, right, let's go, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think the humor is definitely going to be the bit that's the divisive point, really.
Yeah, it's a bit of a, you know, it's a make or break for it, isn't it? And
Because it's not like there aren't other fantasy franchises out there to pick from.
Exactly.
So if this doesn't fit your style, then you can go elsewhere, sort of thing. And I mean, obviously, it's Dungeons and Dragons, or it may be Dungeons and Dragons. We still haven't received any responses while we've been recording this episode. So it's like you can just do it yourself, like if you want. Like that's the point sort of D&D, which I always think is like, I guess that they're in a pressure there. Those guys, the Critical Role guys, to make sure that it really is the best campaign that anyone's ever listened to.
Yeah,
it's like surely there's people out there like ours as well better than yours, mate.
Yeah, because that's the difference. Someone can make a I don't know, like a Batman cartoon, and they've only got to compare it to like what exists out there in the Batman. But this is like potentially everyone could have made their own story. Yeah,
there's thousands, well, millions of other D&D campaigns that probably had a very similar opening to this. So they're competing with all of that, really.
Yeah. But 11 million says that they've managed.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it says pretty firmly that they have.
All right. Well, we've talked about it. Let's move on to our ratings.
No, it cannot be. It cannot be.
What has happened here?
Before my eyes, I see. It is. No, please say it is not the young boy.
'Tis true. The dragon has burnt his way through this fair village and destroyed the young boy in which we had a single conversation, if you could call it that, with earlier today.
I think you maybe had a conversation. I had a vocal exchange that was maybe briefer, I imagine. With the boy.
It's hard to say, because I had more of a misunderstanding with him.
He was such a boy. I wish I knew his name.
It is sad now seeing that he is dead in his home. I gave him a nondescript fantasy coin because I thought he was homeless. He took the coin. I did not realize he had a home.
Why, boy? Why didn't you say? Why didn't you tell us who you were, what your name was, where you came from? Why?
Frankly, I didn't even think to ask him. No, I just carried on about my day because I knew we had to go and fight something big. Had I only known it was a dragon.
If we'd only have known, I maybe would have asked him to grab me a water or another thirst-quenching liquid for me. He seemed like such a good boy.
I probably would have gone about everything exactly the same. But now, seeing him dead, I know what we must do.
Yes. Say it.
Though we are only two, and we have already lost so dramatically, we will fight and we will kill the dragon.
Yes. Even though we are on our barest of bones, almost dead, like this poor boy, we must fight it.
I have no doubt in me that his death may well be in vain. But join together, for we are men of the possible world of Dungeons and Dragons. Unite!
Unite!
So here on Toon Jam, we have a 3-point rating system. Thumbs up. It's possibly Dungeons and Dragons.
Hey!
We all know it. Thumbs down. Beep, 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 beep. And shaky middle. Whether or not balls and boobs belong in The Last Airbender.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still not too sure on the likeness there.
No.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a Reddit group that already dedicated to that.
Oh boy, I bet, yeah. Okay, so The Legend of Vox Machina. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, for saying that I didn't enjoy the the vocal stylings of the Critical Role people, it was nice to know that they were also in this show as well. So everything I didn't enjoy about the original one was also in this. Now, actually, to be fair, the voices were it was. I think I don't know what sort of made it sort of even out, but it wasn't as aggressive to me, to my ears, as listening to the podcast was. I think the animation helped, and maybe they weren't talking to each other as much or whatever. But so the voice work is good. They're all pros. They're all pros. They know what they're doing. And going in, I think the real things that hit about the show are the adultness, which mostly comes in the form of swearing a lot, and it's a lot because there's just some sentences that are like, that doesn't even really make sense, or like why would they say that then?
It's like every character has to swear at least once.
Yeah,
no matter how big or small.
Yeah, it's just a lot. Then obviously you've got drunken antics, another heavily adult theme straight in there, and then obviously the aforementioned bouncing body parts, let's get them straight in there. So yeah, it wants to let me know that it's an adult show, which they did in a pretty heavy-handed way, but they're not the only ones that've done it. We have seen it before, but yeah, maybe there was a better way to do that. As far as the fantasy stuff goes, I'm not personally a big fan of fantasy, but I think there was sort of it wasn't too heavy like deep fantasy stuff. I think you sort of got the point of what everyone could do and their abilities, and the world was okay. It wasn't too heavy. I think the general sort of gist of the characters was delivered in a way that was like, okay, like I kind of know what's going on. As far as their convictions go, maybe not so strong. Maybe they don't really have like a driving force that seems to last longer than 2 minutes. So I mean, I guess that makes for an interesting campaign somewhere down the line, but I don't know whether it makes for like, a solid character arc if they can just flip around, their whole purpose in a minute or two. Don't really know. For me, I don't think I'd really continue with, sweary elves and trolls, and it's not for me. I imagine there clearly is an audience out there for it, but I am not part of it. Not one of my pennies went towards that 11 million. So, and it won't, I tell you. So yeah, for me, it's going to be a thumbs down.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So that that's a real opposite direction to the 100%.
Yeah.
That's been touted. Thumbs down. Okay. Yeah. I agree with a lot of what you say. Obviously, because we've just talked about it, but I always feel like we're two old men complaining about swearing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it's so jarring every time they swear so much, and it's like really obvious. And we're in this weird time now where everyone's trying to create stuff for adults.
Yeah.
That isn't usually for adults, and it's like to a point where the only way they can actually do it is by including that stuff. They, instead of, you can have something. I'm sure if you did a TV, like an animated series about an accountant, you wouldn't have to have any of this stuff in it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That could easily be. But the point is, you don't have to have this stuff to market it towards adults. You can have it in there, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with adding a swear word. or even nudity if the time calls for it. But or you can always just tell someone's done it for effect, and it doesn't really aid the situation or the anything other than just trying to make you laugh. And it feels a bit like it's just trying to make you laugh, which immediately stops you from feeling like you want to laugh at it.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think it is that the humour felt a little bit try hard. And for that kind of took me out of it. I know there's character things where obviously you talked about the whole switch of their mood. I think that's probably more of a problem of condensing the storyline. There's obviously probably spent a lot more time in that village. I'm just guessing, and that would make more sense at least. But yeah, it does feel like that. But I again, to go back to it, it feels like a show that will find its own, and if you stick with it, the stuff that is annoying would, spread out a bit more and feel a bit more like, oh yeah, I can take that. That goes with the situation, and it becomes more appropriate. So for that reason, I am going to go shaky middle.
Yeah.
Because I think there's bits in it that I did like. I thought, the art style's pretty nice. Like I say, the voice acting's good. The animation's pretty good quality. And it's no surprise because the budget obviously was healthy. So yeah, I'm going to be in middle. I think it will become. I think it's got the potential to become a thumbs up.
Right.
Through further watching, but maybe I'll give it a watch. I'll let you know. If I do, and maybe my opinion of it will change. But there you go, a middle and a down. Not great. And actually, we've rated it the same as Yabba Dabba Dinosaurs.
All right.
So, I guess I don't know if that says more about us or the show. Who knows? But this is one where I can almost guarantee not many will agree with us on. And
for sure.
Feel free to get in touch and let us know your thoughts on the three vile dragons of the internet: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at ToonJamPod. Thank you so much for listening today. We are always happy to have you aboard, and if you're new, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, you can catch many of our old episodes over on YouTube. You'll find us again at ToonJamPod. We've got all sorts of previous episodes covering many different. We are actually approaching our 200th episode.
We really are.
Pretty crazy.
Oh.
So get excited for that. We will do the Jammy Awards again, because we know how much you all love the Jammy Awards.
Yeah, we've had so much positive feedback about the Jammy Awards.
Positive feedback. But yeah, so if you'd like to do that, or if you'd like some bonus episodes, and you've already spent money on Vox Machina, and you're like, what else can I fund? Well, maybe you'd like to fund a Toon Jam over on our Patreon and get some bonus episodes. Otherwise, just share it with a friend. So again, thank you for listening, and as always, you stay jammy.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening. If you want to help the show keep going, you can be extra jammy by heading over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/ToonJamPod. Here you can get a shout out on the show or unlock bonus episodes. Ratings and reviews anywhere you listen to the podcast also really help us out. So thank you, and stay jammy.